All right, now. All right, now, everybody. All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning, everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's the, I guess this is the calm between storms, is the way it looks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim is in the house, everybody.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah. What's happening, Kim? Things are good?
Things are good.
Get your funk on. Here you go, baby. Yeah. Come on now. Albert, what up, Albert?
Albert, thank you.
The commissioner, fresh-faced producer Albert. Ready to rock. And Tony, thank you for making things work today.
Thanks, Tony.
Got some emails to get to, some shout-outs to get to. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Many of you show up before the show starts, like you're in the chat ahead of time. Thank you for that. I mean, thank you for being like in the blocks, like waiting for the starting gun, and then boom, we go. So, very excited to have you here. We've got a lot to do today. We'll start with a special weather visit with Spencer Christian from ABC 7. It is Friday, so we'll do Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of the hour. Also an update on the tragedy in Idaho, the murder, but the revelations in the affidavit that's just been released are pretty substantial. And I'll get to more of that. And, of course, the Kevin McCarthy vote. And this is odd, everything happening in the House chamber 2 years after the, after the January 6th insurrection. Thoughts on that with both Jim Avila and Michael Shure. So we'll have both of them here. It's going to be like having the band back together. That'll be just after 11 o'clock. And then Michael Snyder joins us at 11:30. So much to do. Smash the like button. Let's get started.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This guy is such a pal to be here. He is certainly the most popular kid right now in terms of the demands on his time. Spencer Christian, weather dude from ABC 7.
Yeah.
Spencer.
Tired weather dude today.
I'll bet, man. I'll bet. Yeah, this is just this is a brutal period. I mean, it's historic, It is. So where are we, Spencer? We're between storm systems, or what is the story, and how close are we to flood stage on the Russian River, et cetera, please?
Yeah, well, we are between storm systems, so today should be a day of essentially no significant rainfall. There may be a sprinkle or two up in the North Bay, a couple of little trickles up there, but today will be essentially a dry day, a recovery day for the Bay Area. But another storm is coming in tomorrow. This one's going to be a level 2. Now, we get lots of level 2s. That's not a big deal, but it could be a big deal on top of what we've already had, as you know. So that's coming in tomorrow into Sunday. So that's a level 2 storm for the weekend. Then a stronger level 3 storm is developing to move in on Monday into Tuesday. That one, we think the 2 storms together, the 2 over the weekend and the 3 on Monday into Tuesday, could produce anywhere from about 4.5 to maybe 8 inches of rain generally across the Bay Area. And so you can see how that could be a big problem and pose a serious flood threat. Now, at a couple of points on the Russian River, Guerneville is one of them. I forget the other one. The river is approaching flood stage. So the rain from tomorrow, from the weekend storm, and certainly from the Monday storm, could cause flooding in those 2 locations. Kim may know the other location. Are you where it is, Kim?
Kim, on the Russian River, is there?
Let me look it up while you're talking.
We'll track it down. Yeah, we'll track it down.
Probably Forestville, but let me check it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So a huge concern, of course, not only about flooding on the Russian River, but across the entire region. We had flood watches and warnings in effect yesterday until, I think, nearly 7 p.m. They finally expired, but there was concern.
The video out of Santa Cruz, Spencer, I mean, that was unreal. Those waves just, the power of nature just unleashed on Santa Cruz.
I have a couple of pictures for you guys. Ready for this?
Okay.
This is how the old cement ship at Seacliff Beach used to look. See all the people walking out on the pier, la la la. Here's how it looked yesterday.
Oh,
wow.
Big difference, right?
We had extremely rough surf yesterday. We had a rough surf advisory till what, 3 or 4 this morning, I think. Wave heights had gotten up to 28, 27, 28 feet along the Bay Area beaches. That's crazy.
That really is crazy. So we go from the very serious to what might be considered the less important, but for those who, will be going about the weekend, and the Niners are a big part of the weekend. What does the weather look for that game? Look like for that game?
That is Larry Beal was asking me that question last night, our sports guy. So the weekend storm will start developing tomorrow morning and intensify through the day on Saturday. It looks like it's going to give us maybe a midday break on Sunday as that level 2 weekend storm starts to wind down. There should be a break late in the day or maybe midday Sunday before that level 3 starts to develop Sunday night for Monday. So the Niners and football fans in general may get lucky and see a game that's not influenced by the forces of nature on Sunday, but it's hard to say. You know how this goes, Mark.
Commissioner, fresh-faced producer Albert, the game time is what on Sunday, please?
Is it 125?
Yep, 125. That's
correct. 125. All right, there you go.
So that's the best chance for a window of no storms on Sunday is probably between noon and about 4 p.m.
And so, by the way, also, Commissioner, do we want a wet track, or do we do well if it's not rainy? What would you prefer?
Albert, thank you.
What do you think?
Preferably no rain, because sometimes rain gets it gets a little wet, and then injuries with the field. So
good
no
point.
Rain is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And finally, Spencer, we'll let you go, but the drought that we have to get our way out of, we're still a long way from addressing that in a substantial fashion, but we're on the way.
We're definitely on the way. Many parts of the state that were under severe drought category prior to these recent storms are now in the moderate drought category. But once these frequent rains end, and if we get an extended dry period, as you know, we could slide right back into extreme drought in just a matter of 3 or 4 weeks.
It happened last year. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened last year, right? Yeah.
Spencer, you're awesome. We really adore you, and you're great to take time to kind of set things in our minds, establish a framework for the weekend and beyond. Thank you so much. And I say that with the notion that we may have to call on you again.
I'm looking forward to it. I have to come back again because I want to hear about that poker hand that you misplayed.
Oh my God, I misplayed a poker hand, and I thought, oh my God, Spencer would never have misplayed like this.
I want to hear the details of that when you have a chance.
You're terrific.
He's gonna start charging us. We have him on every day.
I know, it's true. It is his busy period. It's like tax season for Steve Moskowitz. So, all right.
I'm not as busy as Kevin McCarthy right now. So that's good.
Yeah. And hopefully you have a better fate in the future than Kevin McCarthy. All right. Spencer Christian, everybody. Yeah. Right on.
Mm-hmm. The Mark Thompson Show.
It's cool of Spencer to stop through.
He's nice.
Capitola had a state of emergency. The storm knocked out power there.
Yeah.
And the pier damage we were just touching on. And PG&E crews are out working, they say, to restore power, but there's still pockets of power outages that continue today, right, Kim?
Yeah, there are.
Look, I'm going to push the political stuff to the 11 o'clock hour when we have Michael Shure and Jim Avila here. Obviously, this is historic time in terms of the vote in the House for the speakership. And I will say this to you now, and then we can talk, as I say, with Jim and Michael. I think what's happening now, and I know if you're a Democrat, you're sort of enjoying it, and there's a car crash quality to this on the GOP side. But the reality is it's showing a lot about the destruction of the GOP by governmental terrorists, really. They're flamethrowers, The personal brands of these high-profile Republicans, the Matt Gaetzes, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world. In the new America, Those are the things that actually carry the day. So survival of the party and falling in line for the party, in this case, Kevin McCarthy, that's not really what these people are about. They're about their brand. They're about opposition. They just don't like, and this is what Rothman was saying the other day. He was saying it's personal for them. They don't like Kevin McCarthy. Now, he might be able to, he's made essentially every concession you can make, but it still may be that he doesn't carry the vote. And what concerns me is moving forward, how does that kind of party, populated by those sorts of people, how do they govern? It's such a divisive environment right now on Capitol Hill. I mean, it is just we versus them, us versus them. It's a tough place to get things done. And now with a simple oppositional party in power, you have to wonder if anything will get done legislatively. But even within that party, whether the business of coalitions can actually happen. Coalition politics seems to be going away. So that said, we'll put all of that aside till Michael and Jim get here. I have more to say on this subject, but I would just suggest that there is way more here than, wow, look at that. 11 votes and McCarthy can't get in. There's way more to it than that. So smash the like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, throw us a like if you're watching in replay. It helps us in the YouTube algorithms.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Use whatever's handy, but if you have an iron rod, what better thing to smash it with than that? Anything else I need to attend to before I move on? I do have a chunk of Trump that I'll get to. I do have a televangelist theater that I'll get to related to January 6th. But I thought before I even did that, we would touch on the Idaho murder suspect. The fact that he went back to the scene after the entire thing went down.
What can you tell us about the scene?
I can tell you that the murder suspect went back there. And the affidavit released also shows that he turned off his cell phone for a couple of hours during the time of the murders, and then he turned it back on. It's all in this report, and then we will kind of kick it around on the other side. Take a look. This is the latest, the revelations from the affidavit.
Authorities also releasing new details about the night they think Kohlberger murdered Gonzalez and 3 other University of Idaho students, Maddie Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, in an off-campus home. And perhaps the most chilling revelation, one of the 2 surviving roommates telling police she came face-to-face with the killer. Waking at around 4 a.m., she says she heard one of the roommates say, "There's someone here," but didn't see anyone when she looked herself. According to a newly released court document, she later heard crying coming from the victims' rooms and a man say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm gonna help you." She opened her door to see a man dressed in black and wearing a mask who walked towards her and out a back door as she stood in frozen shock and then locked herself in her room. Police weren't called to the home until noon that day for reasons still not clear. Steve Gonzalez describing the roommate's state at the time of the 911 call.
You gotta remember, these 2 girls were so upset that when they went outside after seeing this, the one passed out and the other one was so hyperventilating that the message wasn't clear enough for the operator.
The newly unsealed 18-page charging affidavit also says a state forensics lab found the suspect's DNA on the button snap of a knife sheath left laying next to one of the victims' bodies. The charging document also says police used both phone records and video footage of his white Hyundai Elantra to place the suspect near the scene of the crime. And according to law enforcement, the suspect's phone was turned off or had no service for about 2 hours during the time the murders took place. When it turned back on at 4:48 a.m., cellular data showed it traveling on a state highway south of Moscow back to Pullman, Washington, where the suspect lived, authorities allege. But just over 4 hours later, the cell data places his phone back near the home. And police also say Kohlberger's phone registered in the vicinity of the victim's home 12 times in the months before the murder, dating as far back as August of last year. Kohlberger expressionless as the charges against him were read.
Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, this affidavit is nearly 20 pages long, but there is one page that has been completely redacted. The family of Kaylee Gonzalez, one of the victims, says they are confident that investigators have much more, but there are still some unanswered questions. What was the motive in this case, and did he know the victims before these murders? Meanwhile, he's being held here at the jail, and his next court date is going to be next Thursday.
Yeah, I think there are just a few things that stand out there, and you're hearing it in the chat and seeing it in the chat. Why so long to call the cops? If you learned that people inside actually were aware that something was going on, that there was an intruder, and yet no call to the cops for all that time. And even in that report, they say that's unclear. Still a mystery as to why 911 wasn't called. And that explanation about, well, they were overwrought by what had just happened. I am sorry. I think in the panic, don't you call 911, Kim? It seems to me like that.
I would think so, unless you're too freaked out. But
what?
I would like to think that's the first thing I would do. What struck me about that report, and I hadn't heard before, is that his cell phone pinged 12 times in the vicinity of their house. So he was allegedly full on stalking them.
Yeah, I'll ding allegedly. We ding it sometime. We should ding it all the time. We ding it. We don't ding it all the time, but we should ding it all the time. That's kind of a house rule. It's true that he was obviously obsessed, and we don't really know yet the relationships. That's another thing. So I will tell you this: Mark's Murder Mystery Monday, which is coming up Monday, will feature Courtney, who always does the Mark's Murder Monday. But the surprise, for those who missed it, you can check it out in the replay yesterday. David Katz, who has defended murder, what do you call them? Those accused of murder, defendants accused of murder. He's defended them, and he's prosecuted them. And he knows a lot about this case. So he will join, potentially anyway, on Monday. He said, I will try to be there. It depends on my caseload, et cetera, because he's a working attorney, right? So all of that on Monday, we can get more into it. And the revelations are significant, as Kim says, and I think we're learning more by the day. What'll it be? Chunk of Trump? What do you think? You up for it?
I like Chunk of Trump. Bring me the
I'll do it.
Trump.
It's related to January 6th. That's why I do it. It's not just a gratuitous, thing where I'm trying to take a shot at Donald Trump. Here's a chunk of Trump.
Open wide. Ready? Here comes your chunk of Trump.
It's my favorite food.
With your first bite, here's Mark Thompson.
I have a feeling it's going to be beautiful.
Trump is being sued by the estate of Capitol Police Officer, how do you say his last name? Brian Sicknick, is it? Or
Sicknick, yeah.
Yeah. He died after the January 6th attack. Doctors suggest that it was in relation to that attack, the physical attack that he endured on January 6th, that killed him.
Yeah.
The allegation is that the officer's death resulted from the former president's incendiary rhetoric and false claims that the 2020 election was stolen. It's a 47-page lawsuit. Lawyers for Mr. Sicknick's estate say that Trump intentionally riled up the crowd and directed and encouraged a mob to attack the U.S. Capitol and attack those who opposed Trump. The lawsuit cites Mr. Trump's speech at the Ellipse earlier that day. And here's a quote from that 47-page lawsuit. As a direct and foreseeable consequence of defendant Trump's false and incendiary allegations of fraud and theft, and in direct response to the defendant Trump's express calls for violence at the rally, a violent mob attacked the U.S. Capitol. They also name as defendants two men convicted in connection with the Capitol attack who admitted last year to deploying a chemical spray against Mr. Sicknick and other officers there. But Sicknick is the one whose estate is bringing these charges to bear. A lot of those people who were involved in spraying those chemicals toward cops, they got pleaded down in a lot of these cases. They pled guilty to misdemeanor charges, you know? So, like in the case of one of them mentioned here, he got off on a misdemeanor. Anyway, this is the beginning of a court case that will likely till soil that we have seen tilled, but may put it in a different kind of context. And you can put it on the pile of the other lawsuits that the former president is dealing with. But this one related to, on this January 6th, that January 6th, that the lawsuit suggests he very much is responsible for. That. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask you, do you think that, like September 11th, January 6th is a day that we'll always remember? Or do you think it's just a big deal now, especially this year after the January 6th hearings? I would like it to be something that we don't ever forget, because I feel like we came pretty close to some serious trouble.
I think there was an attempted coup.
Yeah,
and I think there was a legal coup that was going on in the courts. There was a talk of martial law. There was talk of replacing all top-level Justice Department officials with Trump loyalists. That was all going on. But the January 6th attack itself, I don't know that it will ascend to the level of September 11th.
See, I feel like in America, we always think, you look at other countries where there's such political cleavage and unrest, and you think that can't happen here. But to remember that January 6th did happen, and to make sure that we remember it every year, that kind of tells people in the years to come, yep, look, it can happen, and it almost did here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a sort of a default to normalcy, a normalcy bias where we just figure it can't happen here, as Kim has said. And the reality is that it almost did happen here.
Yep.
I mean, you had people from inside the institution helping him out, which is really I think that exposes a bunch. And then you have stuff like this. Mark shoving, what is this, Eric? Mark shoving the chunk of Trump in our mouths. I don't know what you, and I don't know if you, I mean, it's a,
open wide.
You got to open wide. Trump did things with the institutions of government and came close to overturning the system of democracy along the lines of that we've never seen before. So I think it should be remembered and should be visited. But I mention it today because of this new lawsuit. It just happened, and it involved January 6th. So I wanted to get it on today on January 6th. That's your chunk of Trump.
That's it for this edition.
Well, I really enjoyed it.
But make sure to join us again next time.
I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening.
For another chunk of Trump.
And by the way, since that's a lawsuit, you may be curious. They want $10 million. That's the.
That's it?
That seems low to me also.
Seems low. They should have asked for a lot more.
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
Since he's got all the money in the world, right?
That's right. Trump is rich, and that's right. And
he's paying no taxes, so give it to them.
The guy you're suing on behalf of, in effect, he's passed away.
There's a new round of tech layoffs. Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I do want to mention the Amazon layoffs. Amazon is laying off a bunch of people along the lines of what's happening with Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond, they are more beyond today than ever before, right? I love Bed Bath & Beyond. I paid for my house with those 20% coupons. I love them. But they are planning to file for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they cite the depressing holiday season. I guess it didn't do the things that they'd hoped it would do. And they're weighing a variety of options, including raising cash by selling parts of their business or selling the whole company. They had a grim holiday season, and their projected loss for their latest quarter is substantial. They had negative cash flow of $340 million. You thought your negative cash flow was big. And for troubled companies now, raising money is harder than ever. It's not an economy that you want to be raising money in. So Bed Bath & Beyond is in trouble. Now, Amazon, they're healthier as a company, but they staffed up in relation to COVID in ways that left the other shoe ready to fall, and that's what's happened now. 18,000 workers, and it's across tech. You're seeing layoffs, but particularly with Amazon, because as I say, they did staff up. You're seeing that's a lot of people, close to 20,000. Now, Amazon is a massive company. They have 1.5 million people working for Amazon all around the world. So when you put it in that context, maybe you don't see it as a big thing. That's from a 30,000-foot view. But come on, when those are real people and they lose their jobs, those are families, that's a real connection. There's a sense that people knew that the layoffs were coming. Maybe that makes it easier. That back in November, they were sort of telegraphed this, that they'd have to be cutting back. But it's Dead Bath & Beyond, says Chris.
Oh, no.
Wow, it's true.
That's too bad. I do like the Bed Bath & Beyond. You know?
Yeah, me too. I really do.
Those coupons.
Was saying the court. I was saying, what's that?
The coupons were enormous. They fit in those. It was awkward. You couldn't put it in your pocket. You just had to hold them on with you.
That was the idea. They jumped out at you.
I always had a few in my glove compartment, just ready to roll.
We all did.
Albert, thank you.
I kept it above the in the visor. All those, and when I like valet the car or I would get the car washed, I always made sure that those coupons were there, left intact. Don't touch my Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. Those are the nest egg. So we go into Bed Bath & Beyond, and you're firing those coupons around like you're a big deal. But now and then they've gone now to virtual coupons, to the e-coupons. But anyway, their future is very much in doubt. So if you want to buy a company, Bed Bath & Beyond is for sale. So there's that as well. I wanted to, what was the other story I wanted to do, Albert? Help me.
We did have like a televangelist theater story, but we also had
the Royals?
Yep, news from Prince Harry.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Let me just give you a little chaser with the Royals, and then we'll get yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm not a big one for the Royals, Kim. I don't super get into the Royals. Like my mom and dad are into the Royals. I think we visited before, and
pay a little attention to that,
But yeah, do you? Okay, well then you'll appreciate this. This isn't about the fact that I guess there's a new book, and the book talks about that there was a fight, a physical altercation. This is not what that's about.
It's eye-opening.
The Prince William. Was it Prince Harry or Prince William who got his penis stuck? If I can ask.
It was at Prince William's wedding, but it was Prince Harry.
Okay. So
Prince
Harry's.
What about his penis?
Thank you very, very much.
What?
Thank you. I thought I'd get your attention with the P word.
We might have to clip that. That's a great Kim drop right there.
It is very, very strong. So they're at Prince William's wedding, and Harry, and this is one of the revelations in his new memoir, Spare. His private part, his pee-pee, was frostbitten while standing beside his older brother at Westminster Abbey on April 29th, 2011. Harry writes that he was still recovering from this 200-mile Arctic charity walk that he did. During that trip, which raised £2 million, about a little less than $2.5 million, or those euros, I guess, either way, about $2.5 million, for the Walking with the Walking with the Wounded, the Duke of Sussex was joined by 4 ex-servicemen who were badly wounded in the war in Afghanistan, and their flight was delayed because of cracked ice. He was still suffering from the after effects of standing there and walking with them. And I guess his, his pee-pee, which was frostbitten.
His dangly bits were chili cold.
Thank you. The ears and cheeks. Wow, there it is. He looks happy, but
I wonder if they make a penis warmer. You know,
nah,
for
good
that
question.
Are outdoorsmen that are out.
I think you get it at Bed Bath and Beyond.
Is that where?
Which
With
is
your
sadly
20%
going
off
away.
coupon?
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I just tied it all together. He says that the ears and cheeks that were exposed in that walk, they recovered. But by the day, the penis frostbite was not getting better.
Oh.
I think we've all used that excuse before, right?
Well, he has 2 kids.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. He does. No, I mean, I think it probably is in a working order, more or less. But anyway, that's a little bit from the Royals. The rest you'll have to read about in Spare, which is Prince Harry's new book. So there's that. Did we send the... did I send the link to Steve Moskowitz? I did, right? I told you I did. Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so he's got the link. So we will take a break. Get to Kim's news. It's not a break, but you know what I mean. From me yapping, we'll take a break.
It's okay. I hear what you're saying. I understand
And
how you treat me like a
and
second-class
then-
citizen on the Mark Thompson show.
And then we will get back. When we rejoin you with my yapping, we get to Friday Fabulous Florida. That happens next. Smash the like button like a boss. Give us a thumbs up as we continue. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Well, let's start with some pictures of storm damage. California getting a short break to recover. Kind of a calm before the storm, but here's some more pictures from how it looked yesterday. This is an underpass in Oakland where you can see some cars flooded out. Somebody stopped thinking, that's not where I want to go. That's kind of how it looked. I also wanted to show you a video, but California, after 2 days of heavy rain and high winds, more than 59,000 people are still without power. As Mark mentioned, many of them in the Capitola, Santa Cruz area. Some could stay that way going into the weekend. Crews are racing to clean up and make repairs. Most of the damage appears to be from fallen trees, but coastal beaches were hit hard. Part of a pier collapsed in Santa Cruz County. That was the Capitola Wharf. Here's video of a wave hitting West Cliff in Santa Cruz. We got this video from Dustin Mulvaney of San Jose State. I can't talk over it, but it's pretty short. Check out this. Oh, brutal. It's getting... Yeah, that was a wave right into a parking lot along the coastline there, not where you wanted to be parking, definitely. Today, big day for Governor Gavin Newsom, the 40th governor of California, hours away from being sworn in. Governor Gavin Newsom marching to the state capitol for his second inauguration. Extra security, of course, in place for this ceremony, including fencing and barricades that are up. Several streets had to be closed. Up to 1,000 people allowed to attend the celebration today. They'll hear Governor Newsom give a speech about his final term and focus on the next 4 years as well. And we are not out of it, but there is new hope for California's record drought. All of the recent rain does appear to be helping. The latest U.S. Drought Monitor maps released yesterday show that there's no longer any area that's classified at the worst level. But this data could be even better when it's updated to include the storm that hit us over the last couple of days. Experts say there's still a long way to go to avoid a fourth dry year, which runs through the end of September. Let's talk a little bit about COVID. Health officials bracing for California's COVID crisis to take a turn. They say they're waiting for the aftermath of holiday gatherings while also monitoring yet another new strain spreading fast. Right now, California is seeing an 11% drop in COVID cases, but they say the rate of people testing positive is up 12%. The latest update shows hospitalizations have remained mostly stable over the last month with 4,500 patients. to politics, where Kevin McCarthy looks like is coming up short in a 12th straight vote for House Speaker. He once again failed to get enough votes as a group of GOP conservatives continues to block him, despite some previous detractors now voting for him. Members can't be sworn in. The new Congress can't convene or vote on any rules until a speaker is elected. They got to get this whole thing together. And Mark was mentioning the suspect in the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. We now know he allegedly tried to land an internship with the police department in Pullman, Washington. That according to newly released probable cause affidavits. Brian Koberger applied for this internship with the police department while taking first semester classes at Washington State University. Koberger apparently also worked as a teaching assistant and lived in Pullman, which is just miles away from the crime scene in Moscow, Idaho. Gas prices are up. Looks like more than a dime from last week. AAA says the current national average price is $3.29 a gallon. Georgia has the nation's cheapest gas. Hawaii, we feel your pain, people, dealing with prices that are just above $5 a gallon. Yeah, we know what that's like, right? Southwest Airlines taking a big hit to its bottom line in the fourth quarter after those mass cancellations and delays last month. The airline said the scheduling meltdown will cause a pre-tax loss of somewhere between $725 and $825 million. The carrier promised an operational review of its scheduling system as federal governments continue to discuss an investigation into that whole mess. And I didn't get a picture up in time. It was a bummer because it's a really cool glacier picture. But a new study shows the world's glaciers are melting even faster than scientists previously believed. The study published yesterday in the journal Science shows 2/3 of the world's glaciers will disappear by the end of this century. The estimate based on the current rate of climate change, with scientists saying it's already too late to save some of the smaller glaciers. This report, sponsored by
you could have left us with like one of those happy stories, you know.
No, I wanted it to really impact you there. You know, I wanted you to really feel it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I felt it.
You felt it? You want some happy news? I'll work on that for next time. This report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. What a Debbie Downer I am. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, Steve is much more uplifting than I am. 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens, and this is the greatest radio show in the history of the world. Yes. The Mark Thompson Show. It's in all the record books. Look it up.
What up, everybody? So cool to be here. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited. I know you're excited. Kim's excited. Albert's excited. Tony's excited. That's a lot of excitement. And we have you in the chat. And Tony is the one who compiles a lot of the names that go into the crawl, and that's at the end of the show, the credits. That represents our thanks to everybody who helps keep the show on the air, frankly. Without you, I don't know where we'd be. I'm even in, as we're monetized, I'm even in a back and forth with YouTube about something else, so it's like, gosh, it just never ends now. But I love that we're monetized again, and I love that you've ridden to our side to help us out. So we want to do some shout-outs now. Is that what you were saying, Albert, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, we saw some trickle in here, and we had one Patreon one from a couple of days ago, so we should get to those, and then we'll get the rest at the top of the hour. But we've been
after
seeing
Florida?
the very generous super stickers, super chats. We
yeah, really, really cool. All right,
Albert, thank you.
Let's we'll throw them up, and I'll give them a shout. Jim Slayton, $49.99. Today is my birthday, a day that will live in infamy. Wow.
Yeah.
It's true. January 6th, all of a sudden. But that's a big donation. You're a regular listener, regular tweeter of our show, to our show, participant in our show.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cry.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
But I'm saying it's cryable.
I'm not going to cry.
It is cryable. I am going to give you a Big Dan Ashley shout out.
Big shout out.
Yeah, and I'd like to give you
Thank you so
British
much.
thank you so much. Yes, I'd like that as well.
Happy birthday,
thank you, Jim. Yeah, happy birthday, pal. That's really, really cool. Kevin Hobbs, come on.
Thanks, Tony.
Oh, no. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. $44 is my cry number, though, I would say. Anything above that. Thank you, Kevin Hobbs. Appreciate that. Next story, 1999. This is from, now how's the name pronounced?
Linnell?
Linnell.
Linnell?
Linnell or Linnell Stewart. This is from Linnell Stewart or Linnell Stewart or Linnell Stewart. I couldn't send from my phone. I really miss you guys on Station X. Thank you, Nick. 1999.
Thank you very
That's
much.
really, really cool. We miss being on Station X. It was a lot easier, believe me.
Linnell used to listen every morning, so yeah.
Oh, that's really cool, Linnell. Very, very cool. Thank you, Walter. Aloha, baby.
Thank you
for the $9.99. Check it out. You can. Elwin with the best name in all the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elwin. Thank you so much. Northside Service Company shout out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very cool with the super sticker for $2. I appreciate that. Thank you for all the ways you show us love. Oh, here was an email that we got. Yeah, let me just read this email now.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Hi, Mark. You had a show recently saying you don't think listeners contribute donations to hear their name on your show. Well, I do.
All right.
I was so looking forward to a British thank you, too. I love your show, and I'm so grateful to have you and the team as my workout buddies that I donated $80 on PayPal. Well, I'm not going to cry. Again, that is my cry number. $80 is well into my cry territory. I'm not going to cry. I didn't hear my name, though.
Oh,
anyway,
no.
I plan on contributing more using PayPal. PayPal's the best for us. It really is. But you got to go through a couple of steps. You got to go to themarkthompsonshow.com and then go to PayPal. But any way you contribute is so very much appreciated. You guys are so generous with your time and effort. Just want to thank you again. Janet G. Love your parents. She wanted a British thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can't, Janet G., express how...
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the Crown, I'd like to thank you.
Usually those emails that begin with "I love your show" usually has a but in there, and it has a laundry list of Mark Thompson criticism. But this one is a very positive one.
Yes, Albert speaks the truth.
You know, because she took the time to write that email.
Yes.
Not only, I think, does she deserve the British thank you, but she deserves a little graphic.
Oh, that's very impressive. Look at that, Janet G.
And I'm going to throw out one for Jim, too, with a happy birthday.
For Jim Slayton. Yeah, happy birthday, Jim Slayton.
Yeah.
Our whole crew. Really do appreciate it. And all of you guys who've really stepped up in these $80 donations, these $100 donations, the $50 donations are very, very big. But any donation, any number it just keeps, sadly, we get every day sort of a telethon. That's just the world we live in. But I want to give you all a thank you. Yeah. And now, without any further delay, let's do it. It's Friday. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Thank you, Albert, for putting in something with reptiles to lead off Friday Fabulous Florida.
Hey!
Florida.
I think it was last week. Someone was like, "Wait, there's no gators this week in Florida." So I made sure to find a couple gator stories that are pretty relevant, and this is a pretty recent one as well.
Nice. Yes, this is the fact that residents in Florida are reporting a huge comeback in crocodiles. Everybody,
What?
Yeah, they are huge too, as large as 8 feet. They're getting near and in homes. The recent sighting of the American crocodile in one central Florida county has scientists scratching their heads. The crocodile was believed to be extinct in Florida. The American crocodile, last seen on December 4th in Brevard County, located about 75 miles southeast of Orlando. The number of American crocodiles has increased nearly tenfold since 1975. They thought they were gone, but they're back.
Yeah, and
in a big
crocodiles
way.
are way, way, way bigger than alligators, so this is a lot scarier for those in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, they've got themselves a situation.
What he's got going here is a situation.
The Southern Florida man who had his dog's coat dyed to look like a Pikachu character just because he wanted to go viral, I guess, on social media.
I hate that.
Oh, it's awful. He did go viral. It was at courtside at a Miami Heat game, so, a lot of people are going to photograph that. But he is now facing charges. The Miami-Dade Animal Services crew had already discovered this puppy, and this Pikachu, Pikachu, is that how you say it?
Pikachu, yeah.
Pikachu was apparently in this store that sold puppies, which is, again, please, I won't get off on that today. And the Animal Services assistant director said there was a staff member holding the dog in her lap. We got that photograph at the time. It's unlawful for any person to possess, sell, or otherwise transfer within the county any dyed or artificially colored rabbit or other animal. A few days after that inspection, the citation was issued. I mean, again, there's a limit to what they do, And they've issued 16 citations against this world-famous puppies place. That's where they sell these puppies and they dye them to make them look like Pikachus. It's pretty disgusting. But it's very Florida. Puppies are very delicate. They do tend to have very low immune system as they develop, so it's the nature of the business that dogs get sick, says the owner of the puppy store. But when you paint them up and put chemical things on them like this, it can be a bigger stressor. So
there was a story about, I know this has nothing to do with Florida, but there was a story about turtles. People used to color, paint, dye turtles and sell different colored turtles, and it was killing them.
Yeah.
Why you would want to deface an animal, to alter it, which could potentially make it sick, makes me sad.
Well, sadly, we treat animals like things, not like the creatures that they are. We don't give them any dignity a lot of the time. And it just, and even if something happened to a pet of yours or, and somebody else was involved in whatever happened, it's treated as property by the law, Those laws are changing worldwide, but we in America are way behind.
Yeah.
An Orlando man bites a police officer after hitting another with a car and dancing in traffic. Wow, there's a lot to this. This is
now you're cooking with fire.
Yeah.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Well, he bit the officer, he hit another car, and he danced in traffic. He was fleeing Winter Garden cops, struck an officer with the car, hit another on the leg, and then, I guess, in the altercation, there was a bite. His name is Malik Smith, 27. He jumped on the counter at a mobile gas station it's on West Colonial Drive. You know where that is? That's
right by the Whole Foods?
Near the Whole Foods there, yeah. By the way, I invited John Daly to join us maybe for next week's Friday, so we can have he loves the Whole Food. He tracks all the Whole Food locations, so he would be perfectly accustomed to this story. Winter Garden cops responded to the store around 7:50 in the evening. This guy had already left. He jumped on the counter. He jumped down. He was harassing customers on his way out. He caused approximately $2,000 in damage. The officer went over the surveillance video with the store owner, saw this guy. Then he ran from the officers, ignoring verbal commands as he entered his vehicle, sped off from the gas station's fuel island to the other side of the parking lot. After a left turn, he then accelerated, and he slammed into one of the cars. Two officers reported stepping out of the vehicle's erratic path as it accelerated in their direction. Kim, it was a brutal onslaught.
It's a mess.
And I guess there was a bite, and
they even had the canine unit involved, and they used the taser. So
they used the taser.
They emptied the supplies on.
They emptied the arsenal of. Yeah. Well, I mean, what you have there is a situation.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, you had to bring out all the.
He appeared to resist the effects of pepper spray as well, so they really did use everything.
Man, well, he faces charges of battery on a law enforcement officer, aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer, fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, criminal mischief, violation of probation. Gosh, the guy was out on probation. What a surprise that is. And there's some other charges, too. So good luck to that young guy. Photos of a floating alligator tattoo go viral. A tattoo of an alligator appearing to float along a client's arm. That's gone viral on social media. Do you have it, Albert?
Oh.
And it's pretty
looks like
cool.
It's real.
Exactly. That's why that is a super cool tattoo. That is wild. That is some really good tattoo work, if I can just say that. And that's possibly, this is a quote, that's possibly one of the most dope tattoos I've ever seen. Incredible work. Yeah. It's considered micro-realism is what they call that.
You have to constantly look down at your arm and go, oh, God, what's on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Florida man gets a prison sentence for fraud charges, my friends. He previously served time for practicing medicine without a license, so he really likes the fraud, really likes to rep stories that are not necessarily reflective of his real life. He was arrested and convicted of impersonating a doctor when he was a teenager. He's now gotten another term in prison for defrauding his employer. Malachi Love Robinson, he's 25. He's been sentenced to 28 months in prison after pleading guilty to grand theft and organized scheme to defraud $20,000. Also ordered him on 2 years probation. He was arrested on felony theft. He essentially defrauded his employer through which was a shipping company that he was working for. And his real claim to fame, I hate to put it this way, was being arrested after opening the New Birth, New Life Medical Center, where he posed as a doctor, and he stole $30,000 from a patient in her 80s. And it was, I hate when, essentially old people are preyed upon. He called himself Dr. Love. Love Robinson is his last name. He stole an additional $20,000 from a doctor. He was arrested in Virginia that year after prescribing treatment to an undercover police officer who was impersonating a patient. To catch the impersonators, you got to be an impersonator. That's how they got him. Brevard County is where we go next.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Brevard County helicopter pilot temporarily blinded by a green laser shot into the cockpit of the helicopter he was flying. A man is arrested. Sometimes they don't get those people because it happens so quickly. But this guy was temporarily blinded. Said, get that guy. He's a green laser hitting us multiple times, is what pilot Brandon McIntyre told dispatch. Brevard County's helicopter team was helping the Palm Beach Police Department with its search for a man who'd allegedly attacked a roommate with a laser beam when this began to flash into the cockpit. The two incidents are not connected. It's very dangerous. It could cause a crash, and they were able to figure out where the laser was coming from, had Palm Bay police officers make a visit, and Dean Gordon Boley, 33 years old, was arrested and booked into jail.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Good day, sir.
Exactly. The eye doctor says that the pilot will be fine. And finally, I'm effed up, says a Florida man arrested after driving drunk with so much alcohol in his system that he was 4 times the legal limit, according to deputies. Wow.
What he's got going here is a situation.
He does. Deputies said a concerned citizen called them after seeing the man driving recklessly in the area of State Road 100 West and County Road 202. Oh, that's right near the Whole Foods. It's so weird again. During the traffic stop, the unnamed man admitted to being effed up and refused to do a sobriety test. "'Cause you'll probably make me do some dances," the man said. The deputy then put the man in handcuffs and admonished him for driving drunk. Admonished is a ding word. According to the sheriff's office, the man's breath alcohol level was 301.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, that's
what he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, it is way past a situation.
Those are like the first 3 decimals of pi or something, right? Is that what that is?
Oh, is that right? Oh, that would have been a good high ground for him to take. But he was booked, and he's now cooling his heels.
Hey, Mark, we have one more story. It's probably
We
my
do?
favorite story.
Wait a minute. Oh. What's the one more story?
It's a Florida woman suing Kraft.
Oh, that's right. I skipped over it. Where is it? Hang on a second. Oh, my God. Albert,
if it was another story, I would have let it pass. But
no, you're right. This is a great story. Where Florida? Here it is. Sorry. I'm so sorry. That's completely my fault. But, of course, Albert, you will
Whoever is producing this
you will
thing
be blamed.
has
even though
no idea
you
what
had nothing to
they're
do
doing.
with it. Yeah, it's just you. Again, it was completely my fault, but you will be blamed. A Florida woman is suing Kraft, the people who make the cheese. She's suing for $5 million, everyone.
What?
Yes. She says that Velveeta microwave mac and cheese takes longer to make than advertised.
Who is having that conversation?
Apparently they're having it in court in Florida. The label on a cup of Velveeta's microwavable mac and cheese says the meal only takes 3.5 minutes to prepare. But a Florida woman says this is false. She's suing Kraft for $5 million. Amanda Ramirez of Hialeah, Florida, has filed this $5 million class action lawsuit against Kraft Heinz Food Company, saying that the food producer's Velveeta shells and cheese takes longer than advertised to prepare. And she wants her $5 million. The product instructions say to microwave the cup for 3.5 minutes, but Ramirez's attorneys say this number doesn't account for the other 4 steps required to prepare the pasta. And removing the lid and sauce pouch, adding water, microwaving, and stirring. These are all things that apparently they feel make it take longer than just the 3.5 minutes. And they want $5 million because of that.
Ooh, it's a wild idea.
Well,
Just might work.
I don't know that it
In
will work.
advertising,
Yeah, maybe.
If you're
This
gonna
has a
say
better
it,
chance than the Red Bull not actually giving you wings from
Yeah.
a couple years back.
Good luck to her fighting the Kraft Corporation. You know, the every person fighting against the giant corporation. We'll see how it goes, and we'll keep you posted. That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Well, it is a tradition on the show. In the chat, you can pick a favorite. We will pick a favorite here. I'll remind you, Florida's seeing a comeback in crocodiles as large as 8 feet near homes there. They thought they were extinct, but they're back in a big way. South Florida man cited the dog being dyed to look like a Pikachu from Pokemon. The Florida man biting the officer after hitting another one with the car. Photos of the floating alligator tattoo that went viral. The dude who got prison sentence for fraud charges. He had previously been sentenced after pretending to be a doctor and actually practicing medicine and opening a clinic without a license. He's only 25 years old. The woman suing the Kraft company for $5 million because it takes longer than the 3.5 minutes that's advertised for the mac and cheese. The helicopter pilot blinded, and the IF'd up Florida man with 4 times the legal limit on alcohol. What is the chat saying? The cheese. Lee Hester, somebody has to take on.
People are voting on the poll. I can only put 4 options. I put Pikachu, the Florida biting the officer, 4 times the limit, and the Kraft fake news cheese. So
okay, so we will have that in the YouTube chat, you will see a poll. So Albert has culled all of those that I just picked, all of those that I listed, and those are there in the poll. One of them will probably be the winner.
Well, I see a couple of crocodile tattoo write-ins, some write-in votes in the chat.
That's my vote.
You like the Florida tattoo? You like the crocodile tattoo? That's interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't want it on my body, but it's fascinating to look at.
It was fascinating. I don't know is it the story though? I mean, the most Florida story
was the dancing in traffic.
I suppose, after jumping on the
in traffic, biting
counter.
An officer, pepper spray and a taser, and a dog try to take him down.
I still
that's probably the lawlessness is the.
I want whatever he's having. He survived all of that.
I know that's true. He's a tough dude. I have to say this also. I kind of like the Florida woman who's suing for $5 million because the mac and cheese from Kraft takes more than 3.5 minutes. I don't know. All right. When we come back, we'll talk about McCarthy, the GOP, coalition politics, January 6th. Looking back, we'll do all of that with Michael Shure and Jim Avila. Jim Avila, the longtime ABC News correspondent, senior correspondent at ABC News, and Michael Shure, who's attended all those Trump rallies and covered everything from COVID wards to politics there in Washington for years. And we'll get finally the two of them together here in the new year. Very excited. Smash the like button like a boss. Love having you here. Kim's News. And then when we come back, we get to Michael and Jim.
Hey, which one do you use? Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. I'm going to show you some more pictures of storm damage here. Big damage in Petaluma. This would be my sister's fence. It flew down. Oh, no.
Wow.
Look at that. Yeah, blew right down. Her neighbors were in their hot tub at the time. They had a tree fall and the fence blow down. And in true California fashion, they kept on hot tubbing. Didn't even get out. That's the way it goes in Petaluma. Yeah. That's right. This picture comes from Yimby, Seattle. Posted it on Twitter. This is a picture sent to them by a friend in San Francisco who added sharks to flooding at a Muni station on Market Street. I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, but that added that. You're saying they photoshopped
The sharks aren't really there, but the flooding on Market Street at the BART station was there, or at the Muni station rather, but the sharks weren't there. But I thought that was kind of cute. Unfortunately, today does mark 2 years since the attack on the Capitol. A large mob of Trump supporters, overwhelmed police, swarmed the Capitol as lawmakers worked to certify the results of the 2020 presidential election. President Biden today is expected to award Presidential Citizens Medals, the second highest civilian honor, to law enforcement officers who defended that building January 6th of 2021, a day we should not forget. Kevin McCarthy, still not Speaker of the House, without enough votes to become the Speaker, although we're told a deal may be on the horizon, though they tried to deal last night and that didn't work either, so I don't know. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev is threatening the United States with what you see here, a hypersonic cruise missile, in addition to comparing U.S. policies to those of Nazis. Medvedev issued the threat and the insult yesterday in a social media post in response to a U.S. embassy appeal to Russian citizens for peace. Medvedev is an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin and currently serves as deputy director of the Russian Security Council. This is the whole thing is unfortunate. This woman is the mother of the man accused in the Uvalde, Texas school shootings. She is now under arrest in Oklahoma City. Her name is Adriana Reyes. She's accused of assault and threatening to kill a man. She was arrested on Wednesday. So Adriana in prison.
Jeez.
I know. Rough time there. Mega Millions jackpot. We'll close it out on a positive note. Positive for somebody, maybe. I don't know. The jackpot closing in on a billion. An estimated $940 million up for grabs in tonight's drawing. Tonight's drawing scheduled, of course, for 11 p.m. Eastern. I think you have to buy your tickets by 7 p.m. ish.
Right.
I don't know. Almost $1
get on it.
billion. I'm telling you,
that could change your life. You bought yours last night?
Yeah,
I think we need to have another Mark Thompson show pool.
Yeah, well, it was a little late for it now, and Albert went and got it.
Well, I mean, you can always have more than one ticket.
Sure, we could. I would do that. I would, if you want to take care of it. I'll do it. I'm going to make this pledge now. If I win, I split with everybody who's on this show right now, and I include Jim Avila and Michael Shure, who are in the green room. I will give them. I wet everybody's beak if I win. All right.
We need to cough up some cash for Spencer Christian as well, because
that's true. Yeah.
He's really brought it. So.
Got to take Spencer too. Okay.
So this report is sponsored, but not by Mega Millions, no, but by Steve Moskowitz, tax attorney for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. He's super awesome. If you need help with your taxes, it's 888-TAX-DEAL. You can see it at the bottom of your screen, moskowitzllp.com, spelled right up there for you. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
Do you feel it? It's The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
It is our last hour of the week, and we kick it off in a really big way. You can smash the like button like a boss, by the way, and also we will give some shout-outs to those who have been so generous as we've been remonetized and tossed us some super stickers and super chats. Thank you. And everyone can participate with comments in this segment coming up. It's great to have these guys together. I think January 6th is a date that should take on special significance moving forward in this country. There was the cresting of a wave that was a coup attempt, and it was a violent coup attempt. It was all part of a coordinated coup attempt, and I don't think that there really can be much argument about it. So that's why January 6th sits in my mind that way. But the violence associated with it, I think, may be the thing that maybe burnishes it in a way that it wouldn't be otherwise. Please welcome our political analysts and those guys who joined us on Friday. They're so nice to do it. Jim Avila from ABC for many years, and now as a private citizen, he can really let it fly. And Michael Shure from TYT and across the landscape of politics. Great to have you guys with us, guys. Thank you so much.
Good to be here. Look at, is that, it's a Cubs hat. For a moment, I thought that was a Canadians hat when Jim was looking away, but it's not. It's a Cubs hat.
Jim is a big Chicago kid, you know.
Yeah. No,
Jim
I know.
I
thought it still was exciting for a second.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
I'm used to bad days. Let's put it that way.
I wonder if you guys both could wait. We'll get to McCarthy in a second, but what is that, Tony? Okay, you're on this, right, Tony? Is that my? I'm being heard back somewhere. You hear it? Tony?
No, it looks like it's Mike. Michael, maybe can you again see if you can try a different browser, as I was saying, because it looks like this thing's just being corrupted weird.
Oh, we're having some issues with Microsoft.
Sounds perfect to me. Jim sounds perfect to me. It's only Mark that sounds funny.
Okay. Well, it's actually, as Michael's talking now, I don't hear it anymore. So maybe it's only when I
don't
speak.
hear it anymore.
So, Michael, mute yourself when I'm speaking, which is fine.
Okay.
And then when I stop speaking, which everybody hopes is soon, you will then be able to unmute. Okay, there you go. What I was going to say is I'll put McCarthy aside for a moment because I have some thoughts about that. I'm really curious to know about your thoughts. And then I want to, but I want to start with January 6th because there are developments even this week. I mean, the family of one of the police officers who died the day after January 6th has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump, holding him responsible for that. There's way more than that, but give me some context on January 6th moving forward. Jim, start with you.
Well, I mean, it is the dominant issue in our government today. We're even seeing, the people who are holding up Kevin McCarthy are the people who supported January 6th. Matt Gaetz is sitting on the House floor stirring up trouble. The last time most of us saw him was running out the Capitol doors when the protesters were coming in, when the insurrectionists were coming in. If there was such a thing as a negative holiday, it should be January 6th. It should be something that we commemorate every year to remind us how fragile our democracy can be when such a small portion of this country can almost derail it. 30%, that 30% hardcore. They continue. They're rabble-rousing now inside the halls of Congress. They're going to make the next 2 years very, very difficult to get anything done. So they've been successful in many ways, even though they weren't able to keep Trump in office. They have been able to keep their agenda in office, and it's really a shame. And I think we shouldn't forget it. And it's really ironic that today they're actually on the House floor causing the same kind of trouble they tried to cause by coming in.
Michael?
Yeah, I think in terms of making it a national holiday, there has to be a coming together of sort of thought on this. And there's one side that agrees that it should be commemorated in some way, at least, for what it was. But there's another whole the existence of a groupthink on the other side of those people that says, no, there was actually that this was, you had Andrew Clyde, who we've been watching vote against McCarthy on the floor, saying that these were tourists coming through. So until you're able to bring these people together, it's going to be up to the people that want to commemorate this to commemorate it. So at the White House today, as we speak, actually, the president is giving out 12 presidential medals to citizenship medals to people who acted in some way heroically or helpfully or were injured that day in 2021. But this is really an example still of how we are divided over this. There are 900 people that have been arrested so far, over 900 people for January 6th. And there are people on the other side who say that they want to win the presidency so they can pardon all of those people. So it's going to be hard to come together on a holiday or a remembrance that is national, annual, or otherwise if people don't see it in the same light.
And let's now get to what is happening within the GOP and how it's playing out in the world of Kevin McCarthy. It seems to me that those, and you've noted, both of you guys have noted sort of the incendiary nature of some of the radicalized wings of the GOP. I mean, the Gateses and the Taylor Greens of the world, they're flamethrowers, and they're throwing those flames now in the election of or the selection of a leader on the House side. It feels to me like they're going to be flamethrowers beyond this. I don't know that McCarthy will get in, and I don't think there's any political philosophy particularly underpinning their objections. It seems personal. I wonder if you could not only talk about McCarthy, but talk about how the House is going to be run moving forward.
Well, I think the big look, you and I, certainly Michael and I, who are political junkies, are focused on what's going on now to pick a speaker. And it's popcorn eating fun to watch the Republicans go through this terrible exercise. Now C-SPAN has been let loose. C-SPAN can actually show what's going on in the gallery, which normally during Congress they can't. They have to focus on the person who's speaking. It's really interesting to watch for those of us. The rest of the country, this really doesn't matter much to them, what's going on in the House. It's an inside the beltway, inside politics junkie fascination, I think. What's really going to make a difference is when this is over, that small cabal has taken control of the Republican Party in the House. They now have passed a bunch of rules that allow them to run amok once this starts. This is going to be the Biden investigation. Hunter Biden is going to be the focus of the entire Congress for the next 2 years. Nothing is going to get done. There's going to be a lot of investigations of the FBI and the CIA. This kind of thing Jim Jordan is going to be in charge. Those are the things that people should be worried about, not so much the day-to-day of what's going on to pick a speaker, because the rabble-rousers have already won.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. They have won, and they may win too. I mean, there's still 7 holdouts as we go, into what we're talking about now. They're going into the 14th inning there and trying to, see if they can get a speaker elected. So it's really we don't know. There's those 7 holdouts, as Jim alluded to. Some of them are personal. Matt Gaetz, it's personal. Andy Biggs, it's personal. Can they break a freshman like Eli Crane of Florida? Can they break him away? Maybe. I mean, he hasn't ever served in Congress yet because he hasn't been sworn in. He is a holdout, but he's got, "Don't tread on me" or something of the like tattooed on his arm. And I think that he is somebody who may hold out. And if they don't get Kevin McCarthy, whether they get him or not, it's going to be a very different kind of Congress. And it's going to be a very, very diluted speakership, because he is diluted. I shouldn't say diluted, because some people might think it will be that too, but it will be a diluted speakership because of the fact that so many members on that side are going to have control over the speaker. He has made so many promises, struck so many deals because of his just desire and want and feeling like he deserves entitlement, I would say, to the speakership, that he's given away so much of his power in order to get there. Maybe he just wants his portrait hanging on the wall in the speaker's lobby. I don't know. But the real crux of this is it's going to be difficult for Republicans to get things done. And that doesn't disappoint Democrats in large regard. But they are going to be occupied. It's Jim Jordan's Judiciary Committee and James Comer's Oversight Committee that are going to be the 2 committees that people are going to be spending the most time becoming familiar with over the next 2 years.
Let me ask a question to you both that I think does. I'm not hearing a lot of this, and maybe I'm a fan of opening up the hood on aspects of government that we've just, I feel, outgrown. The Electoral College is like a perfect example, right? But let's talk about, and Michael, you're really good to maybe weigh in on this too, because of your, maybe I don't understand some part of this procedural thing, but the way it's set up, the speaker has tremendous power and doesn't have to bring things even to the floor for a vote if they don't want to. And as a result, a lot of discussion on important issues that affect Americans never get that open discussion. And I'll give you an example with Nancy Pelosi. The idea somehow that bill that would in some way chasten legislators from dealing in equities and stock trading on stuff that they know about, that sort of general overview on it, that is something that's overwhelmingly supported by Americans. It doesn't even get a hearing on the House because Pelosi doesn't bring it in. So I ask you, Michael, and Jim for that matter as well, is there a part of the way government is set up with the speakership that is outdated or doesn't reflect the voice of the people?
I mean, yes and no is my answer. Is it outdated? Yeah. Anything that's 200 some odd years old is a little outdated. It's been updated. Okay. It's been fixed. But yeah, things are different now than they were then. And I think we're always appreciating that as we see this democracy kind of evolve. And it's never going to be perfect. It is run by humans. And, there are issues that are overwhelmingly popular that don't see the light of day in Congress. You look at gun control, you look at other issues like that. They don't get air in Congress. That's imperfect, right? But I think in large part, the structure and the way that this is structured, one thing you also have to remember is getting to a speaker, you're getting to the person who's third in line to the presidency. So there's a little bit, not that we've had to call on that ever, and hopefully would never have to, but there is a little bit of that. There's something to making sure that this is the person who is the right person within that caucus. And, it does get personal. And I think this pettiness that we've seen over the past couple of days that's hurting McCarthy and hurting Republicans, I would venture to say, it won't endure, but it will hurt them for a little while. And it may endure if it renders McCarthy sort of unable to lead. I sort of think the way it's structured in the House is probably on balance pretty good. You can't get everything. You're not going to please everyone. But you have a speaker and you have majority and minority leaders and speakers. Once they're the speaker, they're not part of debate as much. They're not in committees. They're not on the floor. They have whips that deal with that. So they're kind of above the fray a little bit too.
Jim?
Yeah, I think that when you talk about things not getting to the floor, Nancy Pelosi was a master vote counter. And what she was focused on was the agenda, that the Biden agenda, and the important things that they wanted to get, the infrastructure, the Build Back Better, all those type of things. Her energy was focused on that. And she was counting votes for those. Did she not bring some climate things up that she should have? Were there things that didn't get to the floor? It was a strategy. She was counting votes and she was picking priorities. And I think that's what the House Speaker does. It happens, in the Senate as well. McConnell hasn't allowed a lot of things to get to a vote that should get to a vote. Do you suspend all the rules and make it a free-for-all? Well, we'll see how that works, because that's exactly what's happening over in the Congress right now. So what's going to happen is that if any of these people don't like that Kevin McCarthy is not bringing up a certain bill, one person can now go to the floor and call another vote to get rid of him. So, all right, you're getting what you're asking for, Mark. Let's see what happens. I mean, I think it's going to be chaos. I don't think anything's going to get done in Congress except for a bunch of show-off hearings where nothing. Benghazi hearings that last 18 weeks and produce nothing. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I don't think there's any disputing that. That's how I call them.
That's kind of what I was talking about. What
right.
Jim was saying is the structure has to be in place, because I'm glad he said it. You're going to get what you wish for in a way, because we're not going to have the same structure that we've had for a long time, and we'll see. I mean, this is an experiment in a way to see what happens with it, but it's going to be a mess. There are no rules in the House right now. You have the clerk of the House basically running the House. You see members on their cell phones on the floor of the House, which is illegal. But who's to say it's illegal now, because there's no one leading the House?
In our last couple of seconds here, I just wanted to point out what I think is really the sea change in American politics in the new America, and I'm talking about the social media-driven America, and that is that the brands of Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and their personal brands that they are elevating, and it's soundbite politics above everything else. More than forging policy is forging a brand. It's for fundraising, probably more for fundraising than anything else. But you see how they are. How politics has changed, and I'd suggest maybe that's more dangerous than this sort of the stuff that you're talking about, the procedural stuff, but maybe they both weigh in on the same level.
Well, I think the platforms have changed things. I mean, we've seen that with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. Both of them are huge fundraisers, and they don't really care what happens in Congress. Afterwards, they're going to go on Steve Bannon's program. They're going to go on, and on their social media and put out what they want. They're protected in their districts. That's the beauty and the danger of the way the founders decided things to happen. They only have to appeal to that small group of people in their congressional district every 2 years, and they're safe. So they can go out and spout whatever they want. They have a free platform. They're not dangerous if we don't let them be dangerous. They only have 30% of people who support them. The 70% need to move forward. Continue on the agenda that they have. Elect people like they did during the midterms. Elect people like Biden, during this next election. Don't focus on these people who have very little following and are never going to change their minds.
Well, you can say they're not dangerous, Jim, but the fact is,
for ignoring them.
I get it, but the reality is already on the House side, they are taking control, right, Michael?
Well, they're taking control. First of all, Marjorie Taylor Greene, we should mention, is actually spending most of her time away from Matt Gaetz. If you're watching C-SPAN, which, by the way, rules suspended, the C-SPAN camera people are allowed to shoot whatever they want now. Ordinarily, those are fixed cameras. And now, because there are no rules, the C-SPAN has gone in and they're starting to shoot everything that they have on the floor, which they do in speaker elections because technically Congress isn't in session, so C-SPAN can do what it wants. But you'll see that Marjorie Taylor Greene has voted and supported McCarthy, wrote an op-ed in support of McCarthy from the get-go. So she may be trying to change her brand just a little bit, but it's exactly right. I mean, these are the personal brands. And, Republicans are talking about how Kevin McCarthy has won them back the House. He deserves this. But redistricting won the House back for Republicans. And this kind of politics is likely not going to be as successful because it doesn't play to that wider audience. Yes, it plays in those districts, like Jim just said. And that's what these 435 people, that's all they care about, is getting reelected in their own districts. But their own districts are a little different than the country right now. And as things change, those are going to change. And they're teetering some of those districts already, as we saw this year.
I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know that it looks like in round 13 of voting for a House Speaker, 13 of the holdouts have flipped over to McCarthy. So that's the newest update. He has managed to sway some of these hardliners who weren't going to vote for him. He still has some work to do, apparently, to get the speakership. But CNN says in round 13, he was able to flip some votes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
14, if you count Victoria Spartz, who'd been voting as present. So that's 14. He still has 7 to go. David Trone, a Democrat, didn't vote. He wasn't on the floor and he missed the recall. So it sort of brought the threshold down, but he's now apparently back on the Hill and the threshold is back up. So to the point where McCarthy still has to work with those 7 people. Among them are Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs, Lauren Boebert, Jim Rosendale. So Matt Rosendale. So those are seemingly immovable parts, but then you saw Paul Gosar and you saw Ralph Norman switch their vote. So if those can go, so can the others.
Thank you, guys. So appreciate it. Jim, longtime ABC News correspondent, covered the White House for years and senior correspondent with ABC. Appreciate you spending time with us on Fridays. Michael, you've forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. Love having you here, and we'll look forward to next Friday. Thanks, guys.
All right. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year, kids. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
And now put it together for Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Come on. Yeah. I was worried about you. We didn't get you in the first hour. Didn't know what happened.
I was busy helping a client. That always comes first.
Of course. And we know that. Sometimes Steve is, we reach out to him and he's got a business to run and people to help. And in that spirit, as we ramp up in the new year, I see so many ways. We talked about forging businesses, Steve. I really believe that there are many who are trying all sorts of things as side hustles. My friends have whole eBay businesses that they're trying to get up in the new year, and they're trying to set those up.
Mark, that's how I started in practice. It was my side hustle. I was working for a big firm, and I did some tax returns on the side. And I used to go to people's, this goes all the way back to the very beginning. I would go to people's apartments in New York, sit down and take out my pencil and the paper form, fill out their tax return. It was my side hustle. And then what happened was my side hustle started to grow. And then it grew and grew. And even here in San Francisco, my side hustle was I was working for another firm doing tax returns. And I was also a professor. And as a side hustle, I would meet with potential clients in the faculty lounge or a restaurant or any place else I could, any time of the day or night. And then what happened was the side hustle started to grow. And I will always remember my first office. Imagine the tiniest closet you could ever think of. And it was back in an answering service, if you remember what that was.
Yeah.
And I remember that the price of the office, and I really went high end. They wanted $130 a month for that furnished, but I couldn't afford $130, so I negotiated down to $100. I had a $100 bill in my pocket. I gave it to them. And my furniture, I had this tiny, tiny little desk. It was kind of like the size of a TV tray. and the 3 chairs, my chair and the 2 guest chairs, 3 different colors. And there was a big hole in the arm of my chair. But it was my office. It was my first office. And I remember a person came in. There was a dentist and his wife. And the dentist brought his father. So now I needed a 3rd chair. But no problem. They had a conference room. I went to the conference room. I took a chair. I brought it to my office. And try as I would, there was no way I get the 3rd chair in the office and close the door. So Dad was sitting in the door frame, and I figured, maybe I need a better and bigger office. And that's when I got my next office that I had no idea how I was going to afford, but the landlord said, I got a good feeling about you, I'll take a chance on you. And things started to grow.
Absolutely love that story. Terrific. Wow. And boy, have they grown. You've been helping so many people around the Bay Area, around all of California and the country for that matter. MoskowitzLLP.com. You can buzz into Steve Moskowitz anytime, MoskowitzLLP.com. And also, you can call anytime. 888-TAX-DEAL. Anytime. Literally the middle of the night. 888-TAX-DEAL to reach Steve Moskowitz. Steve, you've got such a great origin story, and I love what you can do for the people who are part of this show. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Mark, and I have other stories like that if you're interested.
Oh my God, yes, I love it. Well, we've got our lives ahead of us, so we'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too. Thanks so much.
All right, Steve Moskowitz, everybody. Yeah, right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I think there's time to. We've got to get Kim's news. We've got Michael Snyder waiting, talking about what's going on. Tony, you look like you want to say something. What is it? No. Oh, okay.
Thanks, Tony.
We do have a couple more shout-outs to get to before the end of the show. So
that's an amendment. Okay,
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, so we'll do the shout-outs after Kim's news and before Michael Snyder, or after Michael Snyder and before we sign off, right? One way or the other. Smash the like button like a boss.
It with your iron rod.
By the way, I'm so glad that that the news is good out of the Buffalo Bills organization, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't know if you have that in your newscast, but I mean, it's pretty great.
Yeah, he was FaceTiming his teammates. He's been responsive. He's been talking, and another update: they decided to cancel the game that was originally being played. So a lot of fantasy football championships were lost last night, and a lot of people. I'm guessing sports books probably just gave people's monies back, but a little different for fantasy football.
Damar Hamlin is the player's name, but what the commissioner is talking about, Fresh Fish producer Albert, is that does that change how do they evaluate playoffs, Albert?
Yeah, so they're doing this weird expansion, and they're having like win percentages. It's all really confusing, so we're going to see how it plays out. The NFL is trying to do something a little creative here, so we'll see.
But the good news is that he's talking to doctors, he's talking to teammates. I'll remind you, he's 24 years old, and he really seems to be, and they say the neurologic function has remained intact. So that's just the very best news. So that's the latest on Damar Hamlin.
I love is that when he woke up, apparently he couldn't speak yet because he was intubated, but he was writing. And one of the first things he wanted to know is, did we win? And they said, you won at life. That's what you won.
Oh,
you survived this, so you won. Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't it the truth? All right. Michael Snyder standing by, and Kim's news next. Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, which one do you use, Mark Thompson?
Use Mark Thompson.
Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. A lot of videos in this newscast, and because of the system we're using, I can't talk over them, but they're short, so hopefully it'll all work out here. The waves still high and fast, and surfers are out this morning under the Golden Gate Bridge. Here's a video from Marco. Check out the wipeout at the end of this one. People surfing under the Golden Gate Bridge. The waves still high. And then there's this genius, this guy, video from 61X News of this guy surfing down a flooded road in the Santa Cruz area near the storms. Looks like he's holding on to a rope on a truck, nonetheless, surfing down the street. I got a bone to pick. I don't want you looking my motherfucker sitting in my phone. The music there, but yeah, so this guy's surfing down the roadway. Thank God we're not on Station X anymore, right? I don't have to worry about it. A lot of people having fun in the storm, even though there's a lot of damage around as well. Another round of rain due in tomorrow, of course. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano erupting again. The active volcano had been spewing lava for 2 weeks straight back in early December. The U.S. Geological Survey says Kilauea began erupting again about 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Video of the eruption shows a pool of lava forming in the volcano's center. Here's how it looked. Yeah, Kilauea going a little bit crazy there. And that, of course, is different than the eruption of Mauna Loa, the other volcano on the Big Island, which erupted last month as well. But alert levels on Hawaii's Big Island have been raised from watch to warning, and aviators have been given a code red because of this eruption. Residential communities, they say,
that sounds bad, code red.
threatened.
That's got to be, I'm guessing that's the worst code, right?
Yeah, that means don't fly this way.
Okay.
No. But residential communities apparently are not threatened at this time. Let's go to politics. We just talked to the Michael Shure and Jim Avila about this one, but you know, here we are again, Kevin McCarthy. The voting is ongoing, and it looks like things are starting to go his way a little bit more, but he's picking up a few more votes during this 13th ballot for Speaker of the House. Some of his previous detractors voted for him on the 12th vote before voting kicked off today. The Californian said he'd made progress in negotiations with some of the defectors here. And Mark was mentioning Mr. Hamlin. It looks like he is getting better. The NFL encouraging teams to hold a pregame moment of support and love for DeMar to celebrate Buffalo Bills safety DeMar Hamlin as he recovers from cardiac arrest. You know, he had to be resuscitated on the field after making a routine tackle during Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. The league is also paying tribute to first responders to help pay his life. Should have asked Steve Moskowitz about this, because this is the lawyer for conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, and he is now being temporarily barred from the courtroom. A Connecticut judge suspended Norman Pattis's law license for 6 months. The suspension comes after Pattis allegedly leaked court documents from the Sandy Hook defamation case. He claims he made an inadvertent mistake. No, yeah, he's paying for that one.
Oh.
This is the first electric vehicle made by Lexus. I put it up here not because we're talking about Lexus or Lexi. However, electric vehicle sales are surging in the United States. So I figured, why not look at a kind of cool looking one?
That is a cool one.
Isn't it? With the doors opening up.
Looks like that movie, Michael Snyder. What was that movie with Schwarzenegger and where he plays the...
Total Recall.
It's a Total Recall.
Not Total Recall, the other one. It was like
RoboCop.
Rollerball or something. Rollerball, I think.
He wasn't in Rollerball. That was Jimmy Caan.
Oh, Jimmy Caan. But doesn't he get into some kind of vehicle in Rollerball, which is sort of am I wrong?
Maybe. You could be also thinking of Terminator 7, the two Terminated to Terminator.
Maybe I am. Okay, never mind. All right, go ahead, Kim. I apologize.
The whole point is that the Wall Street
What's the whole point? Electric vehicles are hot.
Electric vehicle sales rose by 2/3 last year. More people are buying these bad boys. The sales of EVs made up nearly 6% of all vehicles sold in 2022, with Tesla sales starting to be cut into by newcomers. And lastly, just because we need to end it on a good note, a little bit of wine. How about that? Northern California woman credits drinking red wine with helping her become the oldest living person in the country. Edie Secchiarelli turns 115 next month. She gained the distinction following the COVID-related death of an Iowa woman this week. Edie says her other secrets to living a long life are taking daily naps and never smoking.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
She just told you there's alcohol involved.
Yes, there is. There's alcohol, red wine.
Yeah.
This report, sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz for more than 30 years. Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, call Steve. You see it at the bottom of your screen, 888-TAX-DEAL or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We are into our last half hour of the week. What a week it's been. January 6th, we visited a little bit of the significance of the day and a little bit of what's going on in politics. You saw there McCarthy close to, that's all right. Little flash of Kevin McCarthy. Albert, how would you like to do this? You want to do the shout-outs for those who've been so kind, donated, now that we're remonetized? We appreciate everybody who's riding to the rescue as we, try to avoid our own. We don't want to go the way of Bed Bath & Beyond. I'll just put it that way. We like to be here for a long time. You want to do it after Michael Snyder? You want to do it now?
Knock them out here. We have three from Michelle, so we could just combine them, right?
Okay. Well, I love a good plan. So let's bring it on. Michelle Crocker. Wow, here's to getting remonetized, and to everyone behind January 6th getting screwed. I'll give you a big damn Ashley shout out on that. Yeah. Very nicely done, Michelle. Thank you. And Michelle, Trump officially has blood on his hands, she said in the super chat. It's true. And thank you. Another shout out.
Shout out.
And Michelle writes this for $4.99 in the super chats. We read all the super chats. If you send us a super chat with money, I know it costs money, we read the comment. Why are they obsessed with getting this guy the votes? Is there no alternative to this guy? Actually, the answer is the alternative. There's no viable alternatives from the standpoint of putting together a coalition of votes. That is to say, McCarthy is closest to the finish line, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah. There's no one even in the same hunt. They've had a couple of alternatives that have been suggested, and they are not even in the same world. But what I also was going to say is that they're also much more radical. McCarthy, as you know, he sold his soul. First he sold it to Trump, then he sold it to Gates, then he sold it to, everybody else in the radicalized GOP. And it's the radicalized wing of the party that has made him make all of these concessions. He still is more moderate, believe it or not, than a lot of the other alternatives, to use your word. Now, I'm sorry, what was the next one? Valerie, I'll give you a big shout out. Big shout out. Yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much.
Murphy Rowan, if January 6th made the history books, I wonder if it would be called different things in different states, like, quote, the War of Northern Aggression. That's exactly right. The way they recharacterized the Civil War. Murphy Rowan for $20. I'll give you, thank you
so much.
And I'll give you a...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Murphy. Appreciate it quite a lot, actually. James Pacheco, what up, James?
Big shout out.
Big shout out for $4.99. Thank you, my friend. Super sticker from James Pacheco. Thank you to everyone who sent us super stickers, who's getting us back on track. Patreon and PayPal. That is a great way to support this show. You can do it at themarkthompsonshow.com. That's going nowhere. themarkthompsonshow.com. In other words, it will not be demonetized, nothing. It will exist. You can always count on it. And you can also email us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Now, Michael, would you like to wait longer? I want to bring him in. He writes for the Marina Times. You can find him knocking around the city most days. He is a man who comes and goes on a rainbow. He's Michael Snyder, everybody. Come on.
Hello, 2023. I'm glad to be back in the studio. For the record, I had to swim an atmospheric river to get here. It was exhausting.
It is. It's wet.
Hey, in case people don't know, yesterday was the 12th and final day of Christmas. Seriously, enough is enough. My nostrils are still filled with the scent of decaying pine needles. I mean, gag me with an ornament. So it's over until next December. But that means it's January 6th, not just a day that will last in infamy, but the Feast of the Epiphany on the Christian calendar. Supposedly when the three wise men finally showed up in Bethlehem with gifts for the baby you-know-who. More importantly, this is the first day of carnival season in New Orleans, which will continue to Mardi Gras Day and end at midnight on Ash Wednesday, which is the start of Lent. And I only bring this up because I love New Orleans and I love carnival season, but also because I'm planning to give up sarcasm for Lent. So enjoy it while you can, people.
Oh my gosh, say it ain't so.
No, it's true.
Do you have a secret talent?
Yeah, maybe you could explore something else.
Maybe. Let's get to some movie reviews. The only major new movie.
Can you let him finish, sir?
I'm gonna let him finish.
The only major new movie with a wide release this weekend is a little something about a mechanical dolly called Megan, only with a 3 where the E should be, so high tech. She's about the size of an 8-year-old girl and was built by an R&D genius at a toy company known for pioneering cute, fuzzy AI companions, like Furbies. Mm-hmm. So the Megan doll has a responsive, evolving electronic intellect to be in sync with the kid who owns it. So the creator of Megan is a scientist played by Allison Williams, Brian Williams' daughter, Brian Williams, newscaster.
Sure.
His daughter, who was in Girls, the TV show, and Get Out. And she's been awarded guardianship of her late sister and brother-in-law's emotionally damaged 8-year-old daughter. So Dr. Frankenbabe here decides to distract the kid by pairing her with the prototype of Megan in order to test drive the doll for imminent mass marketing. What could possibly go wrong?
I'm guessing a lot.
I was fortunate. Everyone I worked with made me better at my job.
Brian
Williams,
if you've seen the trailer, you can guess what goes wrong. My first reaction to the trailer was, "Oh, Chucky has an older sister." Anyway, I won't go into any more details other than to say that I saw every plot twist and element coming before the movie even started. Although actual flesh and blood writers are credited, I'm almost certain that Megan was the work of the ScriptBot 3000. I mean, I do
a little formulaic.
A little. I want to offer some. I think it's meant to be a horror comedy, so maybe they were going for that. But I want to offer some praise to the actress who portrayed Megan. This is the latest in a series of great performances by Amanda Seyfried. What? Oh, sorry. Megan just looks like a shrunken Seyfried, who, by the way, looks from certain angles like an adult-sized Bratz doll. But admittedly, I laughed a few times here, and I guess it's being touted as a horror comedy. But if it's a comedy, it's not funny enough. The laughs are of the "really? You went there" variety. And if it's a horror movie, it's too obvious and hackneyed to be frightening. What it is, Mark, is a smirky B-movie product dumped into theaters during the annual movie dead zone of early January. Megan is in theaters.
You're not going to see that on any posters. That quote. Hackneyed, I'll ding.
All right, fine. Let's. I'm going to do a little catch-up and a little foreign movie compendium here. I'll make it fast.
Compendium, I'll ding. Go ahead,
the lovely drama from Brazil, Mars One. By the way, this is the country's entry in the foreign language Oscar category, I think. This depicts the struggles of a lower middle class black family, property manager dad, house cleaner mom, college-going daughter, and tween-age son in the aftermath of fascist President Jair Bolsonaro's election. Although loving parents, both mom and dad, have or have had issues, now they're facing economic shortfalls in the shadow of the new regime. Plus, the daughter has fallen in love and is considering leaving the family nest. And the son is secretly more interested in becoming an astrophysicist and joining the proposed 2030 mission to colonize Mars than in following his father's wishes and becoming a professional soccer player. So you have a little tension there, and that's why it's called Mars One. The main delight of Mars One is the fine ensemble work by the cast. They create a family so real that you can't help but hope they make it through the strife intact. Mars One was written and directed by Gabriel Martins, who delivers a satisfying and thoroughly human portrait of familial relations. It's in Portuguese with English subtitles. Mars One is in theaters and also available on the usual streaming services.
Wow. Okay, you liked it.
I did. The superb German actress Vicky Krieps is... she's fantastic. She's so good in English language films, including Phantom Thread and Old. She is the magnetic center of Corsage, a lush and elegantly appointed biopic of sorts, depicting the midlife crisis faced by the bold, beautiful, idiosyncratic Empress Elizabeth of Austria. She was known by all of her doting and and even her appalled subjects as Empress Sissy, and was a proto-fashionista to her followers. Clearly, she was a woman born a century before her time, which seems to be the main point that writer-director Marie Kreutzer is trying to make here. Starting with Sissy's 40th birthday in 1877, Corsage basically details her attempts to escape the velvet trap of her title and image with travel and various questionable liaisons. So, expertly acted by creeps and beautifully shot, but it seems to drag more than trapes, and it suffers from the same annoying anachronistic use of rock and pop music in a period setting that seemed jarring rather than clever in Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, a similarly irrelevant and irreverent and gratuitous twist on history that also didn't work, even though it was more lively than this. Corsage has its fragrant moments, but wilts over the cumbersome course of its near 2 hour.
Kim, he tied in corsage references, fragrant moments.
Yeah, but I step on the end of the sentence, why don't you? Anyway, it's a near 2 hour running time. It's in
I wish I stepped on the
theaters.
beginning of the sentence.
I think some people actually
idiosyncratic is a ding word, says Tom. Yeah, go
people
ahead.
in my peer group, some of them liked it very much, but I found that it was a little ponderous.
Ponderous is
all right,
certainly
one more
right.
foreign film
Yeah.
because I loved it. And it came out a few months ago, but I just caught up to it. Girl Picture, which in Finland is entitled Girls, Girls, Girls. Same as an old Elvis Presley flick, I might add. It's a Finnish coming-of-age movie that came out a couple months ago, and I just finally had a chance to catch up to it, and it's quite good. It's about 3 weeks in the interconnected lives of 3 smart and sexually adventurous college-age girls. And its depiction of their growing pains and fractious relationships feels as real and universal as one could hope. It gets a bit soapy in the interpersonal drama, but it's also blessed with witty dialogue. Its insights into female bonding and pack behavior are sharp, and the young actresses who play the girls, girls, girls of the title are all excellent. One of them is a rebellious type with family issues. Her bestie is a dewy-eyed, eager beaver, seeking a boy who will bring her the elusive orgasm. And the third is a driven figure skater who's been repressing her emotions until, well, you gotta see it. It may be called Girl Picture, but for all my testosterone, I embraced it too. It's available for streaming on demand. Girl Picture gets high marks from me.
Wow. Look at that. He gave you 4 offerings. Girl Picture, also known in Finland as Girls, Girls, Girls.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I feel like that's a in the old days, south of Market sign that you'd see there. On, right there on Market
Does it
Street.
have subtitles, that one?
Anything in a foreign language, Kim, can be acquired with subtitles. Read, because Girls, Girls, Girls is very good.
Wow. It's Finnish. So you have to be up for the Finnish language and then up for the reading.
It's strong to the finish.
Okay. Oh, my God. Corsage is the one with the German actress playing Empress Elizabeth.
Yeah, Empress Sissy. By the way, she's so popular that they've made like a series of films about her in Austria, and this is the first, I think, to break into the American theater.
But you didn't love it.
I didn't.
I felt it wilted, to use your...
Vicky Krieps is so good.
But you felt that she was better than the movie was.
I thought so, yeah.
Okay. Mars One, though, he liked.
I did.
It's soccer or going to Mars. That's
the kid's dilemma. Yeah.
That's the kid's.
Dad is not buying into this astrophysics thing.
Great ensemble work, he said, and there's a terrific. The director, I think, is that Gabriel
Martins,
and it's in Portuguese, so you have to be up for the reading.
Yeah.
Megan is Brian Williams' daughter's thing, Allison Williams.
I was fortunate. Everyone I worked with made me better at my job.
But
someone should help Allison in that regard. No, she's fine.
You liked her, but you felt that it was it kind of missed. It was
just
the robot horror comedy that missed.
Yeah, it just wasn't funny enough and wasn't scary enough for me personally. I've seen some scary, funny movies in my day.
You have. You're a movie critic.
Mark, I want to get to this really quickly because I know
please.
we're running out of time.
Yes.
As of this past weekend, the Marina Times in news boxes and in various other locations in San Francisco features my January column, which is my best of 2022 column.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
And it's, it's easy to just say, go read it at marinatimes.com. Oh, wait, I just did. But I could also rattle off some of my favorites. I could just give you...
for people who may not be able to get to it for whatever reason.
I have a busy people that don't read.
Yeah, some people have a busy week.
Okay, so I'll quickly... my favorite 12 movies, and this is an inexact science, Mark. So I have lists upon lists after my top 12, and even in those lists, for instance, best foreign language films, I missed listing All Quiet on the Western Front, which is available on Netflix, and a terrific adaptation of the book. And I missed an animated movie, Belle, that I liked, but it's pretty exhaustive. And again, you can see it at marinatimes.com. My top 12 for 2022.
All right.
Armageddon Time, which is director James Gray's reminiscence of his childhood as a Jewish kid growing up in the New York suburbs during the late 70s and early 80s. People can compare it to The Fabelmans. I think it's a better film.
Armageddon Time?
Armageddon Time. The Banshees of Inisherin, which I gushed about here on the air.
Yeah.
Teaming filmmaker Martin McDonagh with two of his favorite actors. Once more, the guys that teamed up in Bruges for McDonagh, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, as a pair of friends on an island off the coast of Ireland in 1923 who have a falling out. And it's fantastic. It could be, if you said, what's your favorite movie of the year? I could argue that. Barbarian, which is a horror film, which I thought was brilliantly conceived, social satire, and actual scares, unlike Megan. I really enjoyed Barbarian. Broker, which we gushed about a week or so ago, the latest film by the great Japanese director Koreeda, the guy who did Nobody Knows and Shoplifters. This is about baby brokers in Korea.
Right. You
Loved
said I remember you saying it took a nice twist, you said.
Yeah, a movie that isn't out or available yet, but was dropped in New York and LA theaters to be considered as part of the 2022 film panoply. Close, which is a gentle and vivid portrait of adolescent friendship from Belgium, the lives of two 13-year-old Belgian boys whose devotion to one another is tested by peer pressure and changing interests. Very powerful. It won the Grand Jury Prize for director and co-screenwriter Lucas Dont at this past year's Cannes Film Festival.
Wow.
Emergency, which I loved, which is a look at collegiate recreation cliques and racism. Totally cool. Emily the Criminal, giving Aubrey Plaza the best role of her career to date.
I haven't seen that yet. But you liked it.
I encourage you to check it out. She plays a would-be professional artist in L.A.
right?
who's so deep in debt after some bad breaks that she decides to become part of a scam.
Is that a series or is it a movie?
It's a movie. These are movies, Mark.
That's what I thought. And
Best
I was going to say,
movies
that's not a movie, is it?
of 2022.
Okay,
everything,
sorry.
Can you let him finish?
I'm sorry. I had a question for him.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. I loved it. Of all the comic book movies about multiple dimensions and alternate universes, this is the sharpest. Michelle Yeoh killing it as the lead character, a wife, mother, and daughter trying to keep her family's struggling laundromat afloat in the face of an IRS audit. Completely wonderful film. Glass Onion, which I've gushed about as well. The Knives Out mystery starring
that's really
Daniel
good.
Craig as Foghorn Leghorn. as Benoit
really good.
Blanc,
Yeah.
the Southern Fried Detective. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
What number are we on, Michael? Because I'm
We're
running
almost
out of time.
done.
And
Can you
let him finish?
No, I may not be able to let him finish.
RRR, which I've also praised on the air. A completely bonkers 3-hour potpourri of martial arts and Bollywood production
you
numbers
really like that.
and history. And finally, Tar, a tour de force for actress
I've
Kate
heard
Blanchett.
great things about that too. From
Just
you and
tremendous
then
film.
from
That's
others.
number 12, and they're not in order, other than alphabetical.
Wow. Well, let me say, if people want that list, and I actually do, I can only remember so many, in my advancing years, my recollection has diminished.
CC.
And so I can find that whole list with explanation at marinatimes.com.
Right.
And pick up the Marina Times, of course, all around the city and around the Bay Area, but at marinatimes.com. You can find him here on Fridays as he graces us regularly with his takes on movies, on series, the ones with subtitles, the ones that are Marvel heroes and the DC comic thing.
Bring it on. I love it all.
You do it all, Michael.
I love it
and
all.
You come and go on a rainbow. Go Niners, Michael. Go Niners.
Indeed, Sunday, baby.
All right. Michael Snyder. Wow. Very impressive. Well, Glass Onion, what a cast. A little wacky, yes, says Michael in Fairfax. I really liked it. I really liked that movie. Emily the Criminal is great. On one of the year's best, yeah, says Flo. M. Oak says, love me some Aubrey Plaza. Yeah, she's very funny. And then a very good actress, too. In White Lotus, she was really terrific, you know. So that I agree with. Tom says, thumbs up to Emily the Criminal. I got to get on Emily the Criminal. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The Nikki Maduro show is starting soon. Oh, no. Nikki has J6 Reflections. Newsom starting a new term with the March to the Capitol. McCarthy gaining momentum. She'll answer that question. Gates threatens to resign. Friday food. Nikki makes Ted Lasso shortbread cookies. Wow. We become remonetized this week. A lot of stuff's happened this week. I've still got my own tug of war with YouTube, but we'll get through it. The remonetization is big. And I appreciate everybody, all of you who stepped up in so many ways to support this show. Sadly, we really need it on a continuing basis. So all of our patrons, we update regularly the credits at the end of the show. Yeah. Go to themarkthompsonshow.com, click contribute to help us in all the ways you can. Thank you, Albert.
Albert, thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Kim, how are you?
And Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
For the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Hey, we had Shadow in this week, too. What a week we've had.
Bye-bye.
Tell me it's not over. Really? All right.